From every strand on the line of your reel, to the rods, to the anglers, to the lures on the end of your hook, let's talk about those big bass here on Co-Angler's Corner with your hosts, Rob Welch and John Stoudinger.
There you go, John. There you go.
I don't know what happened.
I don't either.
But hello, everybody. I'm John.
How y'all are? Cajun Rob here hanging out with you.
I guess it wouldn't be a typical show if we didn't have something going on.
That's true. Got to have typical. That's the only technical difficulties we've got. It's been a good show.
Yeah. Every site's working so far, so we're good.
Cool.
All right. So, as you've noticed, as you guys have noticed, we've probably been doing a little more kayak fishermen, and because that is the up and coming thing, and Rob and I both want to learn more about it. And the way to go about that, I think, is to talk to people who've been doing it, pros, not pros, people who do it just for fun. So we're going to bring on Lisa Washington. She's from Texas. She's a kayak fisherman. Just loves being outdoors, and I don't know what else to say about her. I mean,
she's a sharp young lady. Can't wait to get her take on kayaks and some advice and take some questions, of course, from you guys. So looking forward to it.
Yeah, if you have any questions for her about kayaks or anything like that, don't be afraid to shoot them out. And let's bring her on.
All right, let's do it.
Hello, Lisa.
Hi.
How's it going?
Good.
All right. Doing good.
Doing well, thank you. Are you enjoying the heat?
I am. I would much rather it be hot than cold.
True.
No, if you don't mind starting out with tell us a little bit about you, about your fishing history, and we'll go from there.
Well, I'm Lisa. I started out fishing with my dad when I was little, but it was just pond fishing with live bait, just sitting with a bobber, which I loved. When I met my boyfriend, he took me bass fishing a couple months after we met, and I was hooked since then. So that was back in 2018 when I first went and caught my first bass. And ever since then, I got a kayak probably shortly after that because I wanted to start going up the little creeks and rivers. And then probably 2019, I started doing tournaments and been doing a lot this year for sure.
Cool.
So,
sounds good.
Outstanding.
So now, was your boyfriend into kayak fishing as well, or?
He is. I finally talked him into getting a kayak and going kayak fishing with me. He has a boat, which actually doesn't run. And I think it's ran probably twice since I met him. So
That's not unusual.
And I wanted to go fishing, and I got tired of being limited by the bank. So I finally talked him into getting a kayak, and we started doing kayak fishing together.
Cool. Outstanding.
Nice. Now, I'm not real familiar with kayak fishing. Do they have team tournaments in that, or just solo?
There are some leagues that do, and it's usually like they have a trail, and then like maybe one of the tournaments is a team tournament, just for fun. But most of the time, it's just individual.
Okay.
Cool.
Excuse me. So, like with Rob and I, we were both interested in getting into kayak fishing. What should we look for a kayak? I mean, outside of the financial aspect of it. I mean, that's the main decision.
Right. Definitely finance. But you also, so I'm on probably my fifth kayak. And this is my fifth year. So you just got to find the one that's right for you. I started out with a little sit-in, which was good for what I was doing at the time, but tournament fishing on big waters it was not. So the big thing is stability for your size and how much gear you're going to take. You want to know what kind of waters you're going to be on the majority of the time. So, like there's a lake out here that's basically a wide open basin. And if you get 10-mile-an-hour winds, you don't want to be out there.
Yep.
And there are certain kayaks that can handle it, but you probably don't want to be out there anyway. It's no fun.
Yep.
That's most of the water where I'm at. So
Yeah. You also want to decide if you want to paddle or pedal, or if you're going to add a motor to it. Even if you add a motor to it, you definitely want to have one that you can maneuver with a paddle or pedals, especially if you're going long distances, because you never know if the battery's going to die, something's going to mess up with the motor.
Yeah.
Haven't had that happen, thankfully, but
yeah, I've seen some guys use the solar chargers and that stuff now. That's pretty cool. That's pretty interesting.
yeah, I haven't done that. My batteries are pretty good, because I definitely do spend money on those.
Oh yeah.
Just to make sure that they get me where I want to go and back.
yeah, that back part's kind of important.
Oh yeah.
That part is more important than the getting there, because you're normally tired by the end of the day.
Definitely.
That's what Andrew Pullingham says. Hey guys, hello Lisa.
Hey Andrew.
That's the one thing about the kayak. When they first started coming out with the fishing, I'm like, I couldn't do that. I couldn't be paddling or pedaling for 5 miles.
Yeah, I did it in my first well, even my Pelican, which was my sit-in, my first one, it was like a 10-foot one, and it was 27 pounds, which was great because I could walk it down steep banks and get into rivers and creeks that nobody else could get into, which made it a lot of fun. But when the gators started coming out and they're bigger than my kayak, then it gets a little sketchy, but
Yeah, I'm not worried about the gators up in New York. So
yeah, most of them down here, they won't mess with you, but there's a couple lakes where people feed them, or they stay close to the fish cleaning stations. And so they will approach you.
They're almost like curious, like cats. I used to South Louisiana. I had a P-row. You know what a P-row is, like a little bitty. And I'd paddle through a creek, and it'd be a big log, and I'd shove off of it, and then it'd move. And it was bigger than my P-row, so I went that way, and the gator went that way.
Yeah.
No, sorry. I'll stay in the north where the gators aren't. Andrew says he had a kayak before he bought a boat. It was a sit-in, row only. Just picked small areas to fish so I wouldn't get tired.
Oh yeah.
Look, I to be honest with you, I'm so out of shape. I get tired in the bathtub if I was trying to roll a kayak.
But you'd be surprised how easy those little ones are to maneuver, just because they glide right on top of the water and they're so light. But if you get in current or wind, it gets a little more difficult.
Yeah, I'm not about that.
No.
So you had an incident that I saw on Facebook.
Yes. I went out to Lake Fork to go pre-fish for a tournament we have coming up in August. And I don't know, it was probably 3 or 4 hours into my trip. Well, actually, probably 10 minutes into my trip, I dropped a rod in the water right after I rigged it. And it was my favorite rod. And probably one I was going to throw most of the day, so I didn't get to throw that one anymore. And it was my wacky rod.
Oh man.
And then 3 hours into that, I dropped my phone through the drive hole.
Oh no.
Yeah. So.
Oof.
Sometimes when you're out on the water, you got to go where you got to go, and you got to pull the drive hole out. My phone was not tethered at the time and fell off the seat.
Oof.
Yeah, I'd be so cautious about that because I've not lost them in the water. I dropped them in the live well in a boat.
Yeah. Well, that wasn't so bad because most of the cases I have on my phones, this is the third one I've dropped in the water. So, well, the third one that I've dropped and have not gotten back.
Okay. Yeah, I have the waterproof cases and all that stuff too, just because being on a boat fishing and stuff like that, you don't know.
Yeah. But I have a really good tether that I have. It's tethered to the bottom of my kayak, and I just didn't have it on.
Ah,
Now, how does that work? Is it like the kayak tournaments? I should say. Let's get away from the phone stuff.
Okay. So the kayak tournaments, you basically have an 8-hour period. Usually launch 6:30, lines out. Launch 6:30, depending on what time it gets daylight. We try to have first cast like 15 minutes before the sun starts coming up, just to get a little bit of that good morning bite. And then usually lines out 8 hours later. We measure them on a catch board. Most of the tournaments have went with catch boards now, not just any measurable device. And most of my tournaments are on TourneyX. So you take a picture, you submit it, and we have an identifier, and then you release it, and hopefully everything goes good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fisher says, "Hey guys," and she loves my jersey. Well, Trisha, thank you very much for my jersey. My daughter confiscated the bag already. Way bagged it. So, but the one thing that baffled me because I have friends that do kayak fishing, and one who's actually the president of the New York Kayak Bass Association. I think that's what it's called. We were talking about it, and he was talking about disqualifying catches. I'm like, what do you mean disqualifying catches? And like some of the rules baffled me. Like if you don't have the fish the right way, if he's on the wrong side, and
right. So the mouth has to be up against the bump board with the belly toward you.
yep.
So left to right. You can't have them upside down. I don't know why that is an issue, but that's just standard on all tournaments. So
okay,
I just do whatever they tell me to do. The mouth can't be open, and most of them, there are some tournaments that allow the mouth to be open, but most of them, because it doesn't give anybody really an unfair advantage. If the mouth is open, it actually adds sometimes up to an inch.
okay,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And game wardens, if they measure your fish, they're going to close them out. So
yeah.
And then fan the tail, you can fan the tail. So I know some of the tournaments I'll be in the BFLs, and I'll let you fan the tail around. And
yeah, there are some tournaments that make you have it. I think the Bassmaster kayak ones you have to have it laid naturally.
okay.
But a lot of them I'm in, you can pinch it so you can get a little extra. But you still can't cover the tail, because there have been people who have apparently cut the tail and put their hand there so they can cover that part and added inches.
Yep.
People are going to cheat. They're going to cheat. And
Oh yeah.
they'll find a way.
Oh yeah.
If there's money involved, they'll find a way.
Yeah.
I see a lot of guys using the little lip gripper or whatever, I guess, to land them, and that kind of, because they got so many flop out the boat, and I guess before you wade in, you got to take the lip gripper out, lay it on the board, and I've seen that, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I actually lost a giant that way one time. I put it on there and put it in the water and did not pay any attention to whether it was secure on there or not, to get my camera and board and everything ready, and pulled it back up, and there was no fish on it.
Oh no!
It wasn't during a tournament, but it was between me and my boyfriend, and those are important too. So.
Oh yeah, bragging rights is everything.
They're more important.
Yes.
So, I'm getting too old for this. I can't remember my name half the time. If anyone has any questions for Lisa, or me or Rob, go ahead and
I'll tell you about my kayak that I have now.
Yep. There you go.
I have a 2024 Hobie 360 XR. Just got it this year because I used to talk about a lot of smack about all the Hobie people and say it's not that great of a kayak. I've always loved Old Town, so I just figured I'd sell my Old Town and do tournament season with the Hobie this year and see how I like it. I did not like it with a bow mount on it, so I sold my XI3, which I loved for my Old Town. But the Hobie is not nearly as stable as the Old Town. So I ended up getting a stern mount, the Newport 180, which I love. And with the 360 drive, you really don't need spot lock unless it's an insane amount of wind. But even with an insane amount of wind, spot lock isn't going to work anyway. So it didn't matter. But it's growing on me. I got it beginning of February. So I've had it a few months and it's growing on me. I cashed a check out of it. So that's a plus.
Sweet. Oh yeah.
That's always nice.
Yeah.
And just so you know, you're not the only person that's ever lost a phone over the kayak.
Oh, yeah, no. I'm sure my insurance with my phone company, they're probably like, you do this a lot.
We're going to double your rates just like a car insurance would.
Yeah.
But, that's why I have insurance, and I have it because I have multiple devices on mine. So I can file up to 4 claims a year, which I haven't needed more than one. But, most of the time I go in there, they ask what happened. I said, I dropped it in the lake.
Yep. That's truth.
Yeah.
But my son, like I said, I was talking before the show. Me and my son rented some kayaks on a local lake, and we had a blast. And it's amazing how them things just glide. I mean, you paddle and they just kind of glide. Now he made a mistake of trying to reach over and get something, and he rolled it, and he was in he went like 12, 15 foot of water, but he was trying to get back in his kayak, and I kept saying, go shallow.
Yeah.
And he rolled it again, and his glasses went whoop. So just had some glasses arrive for him. But now, if you do have a spill or something happen, I mean, it happens. Is it better to go to shallow, try to get back in it, or is there certain tricks to do that?
I would say so. I'm going to knock on some wood here, but I have never rolled my kayak.
Oh, cool.
And I don't know, there's probably times that I've come close, but my boyfriend has, and it was cold and a freak storm blew through, and he ended up just dog paddling to the shore with holding on to the kayak and the scupper plug, and lost all his stuff, but he was alive because he was wearing his CFD.
Cool.
I could just see me getting in one of those kayaks that you stand on, cast, and throw myself in the water. I could just picture it now.
Well, we've been talking about it, and we need to take our kayaks out without anything on it and just try to get back in them.
Yeah.
Just because you never know what's going to happen. And if you're fishing on a lake you never fished before, because sometimes you go in a motor and we have a tournament coming up on Lake Fork, which is filled with stumps, and you can just sideswipe a little bit of it and it will tilt you. And if you don't have your bearings, or especially if it's dark, if you don't have your bearings to kind of counterbalance that, it's going to go over. I mean, the Hobie, I've been out in some pretty rough stuff and haven't had an issue with it. So hopefully, but again, you never know.
Right.
So, now I've heard a lot of guys, talking about, I've seen videos and some of their YouTube stuff, and they say, before you get your kayak, kind of figure out, start off with your life vest and the paddle. Kind of go through what you recommend on life vests and paddles. I know there's a lot of options out these days. Yes.
So with the Hobie, I actually don't use there's a paddle with it. It comes with a paddle, and I mean, where it's at and how you access it, I don't really use it very much. But with my Old Town, I had a bending branches one, I think, and I really liked it. Mainly it had a little hook in it, so you could put it down and knock a lure loose if you get snagged. Okay. So that's a big thing. You want something light, and if it's aluminum, or you need to think about, it's going to get hot in the sun. Yeah. So you can either wrap it or whatever the case may be. The dogs are getting crazy back there. As far as the PFD goes, I have two. I have the just the inflatable one. I forget the brand. It's from Academy or whatever.
Yeah.
And then I also have a Chinook, or the Chinook, if you're a guy or whatever. I have that, but it gets so hot in the summer. I just use the lighter one. In the winter, I use it. And depending on the lake too, if I'm going on a lake that I know gets rough, or if it's going to be crazy windy, I'll use the Chinook, just because you never know if that one's going to inflate completely. Yep. I've seen people where it inflates halfway. I think my boyfriend, when he rolled, it inflated halfway. And if it's not snug on your body, I know that I've been told, one of my friends, he rolled over in one of the lakes up by Michigan, and it was cold, and it didn't hold his face up. So he couldn't get around to actually get above the water. So the Chinooks are definitely, are just something that's a solid vest. That's not going to be inflatable.
Yeah. Rob had a fun incident with the inflatables.
Yeah. I was at a BFL regional in Eufaula, and it was just like sprinkly rain. I've wore this thing through thunderstorms, and I don't know if it hit wrong or I maybe accidentally pulled the cord, but it popped on me going down the lake, and I'm up doing this number, and my boater says, "You all right?" I was like, "Keep on going." And then we hit a rogue wave I never saw and bruised my ribs on the gunnel, but it happens. It happens.
Yeah, I know.
Oh man! But
actually, one of the first times I took my sit-in pedal when I first started kayak fishing, before I did any tournaments, I took it out on the lake, and I did not know, because I did not read the rules, which I read thoroughly on everything now, that a kayak had to have a PFD on it.
Yep.
And got stopped by the game warden. And I was even inside the no wake zone by the swimming area. Like, I wasn't out in very deep water. And they wrote me a ticket. It was like $272.
Oh, how?
Yeah.
Ooh.
And I was killing them too on top water. I mean, just one after the other. And I had no idea. And she still wrote me a ticket. And I was like, okay.
She was jealous.
Learn. Sometimes you gotta learn them lessons.
Yeah, I mean, I learned my lesson, and I do make sure that I have one and a backup. So
there you go. Rusty Odom says he heard the Bonafide jacks are top notch and very stable.
The what?
Bonafide?
Oh, yeah. Bonafides, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, most of the heavier ones are. I mean, the Hobie is, I don't know, 128 pounds. I think mine is. I have the PA12. But it does not glide on the water.
But very stable, though.
Very stable, yes.
I think
definitely not as stable as the Old Town. The Old Towns have a deeper well. And I mean, I've been in some crazy waves where water was just splashing over the front and just landed in my lap. And never thought I was going to fall.
Yeah, it amazes me about the scupper holes. You see the water, and it just kind of that's just amazes me.
That's the big thing on the Old Town is the drainage in it is so amazing. And I may end up going back to the Old Town after this year. I haven't decided. The Hobie's not bad as far as drainage goes. They just don't have nearly as many scupper holes. So where they're positioned, if you start getting water coming over the back, there's none in the very back. They're right by the seat. So I don't know what would happen if, waves were coming over the back, how quickly it would go down, but hopefully I don't find out.
Yeah. John Adams says, good afternoon. Hello, sir. How are you?
All right. Now, like when boats come by, I was kind of curious on this. Like if you're out and a big boat, comes by in the big waves, do you kind of position it forward into it, or how do you usually do that if you got a big set of waves coming in?
It depends on how far away they are. If they shouldn't be that close because that's just rude. But if they do happen to, or like there's certain lakes where it's just a party lake and it's just constant boat traffic. Yeah, you kind of want to face into them. Most of the time they don't bother me. It just depends if there's wind also. But we prefer that they keep going and don't slow down.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because that causes more wake.
Yep.
Yeah, because I know there's a spot, Lake Cumberland here in Kentucky is close to me, and there's a spot where the lake kind of funnels down. There's a bridge. It seems like the waves go everywhere. I mean, it's just every direction because it kind of bounces around. So,
yeah, and I try to stay out of those areas.
yeah, good point.
Yeah, it's just hard to fish, because you're constantly getting moved. I mean, I have live scope, so if I'm using that, then it's just pointless because you're constantly getting moved and you can't keep focused on what you're looking at.
Yeah. Now you do have some neat looking anchor systems. I like the little anchor systems, little cranks and stuff. That's pretty cool.
Well, so now that is actually used for my motor to pull it up and down. I do like it a lot. Yep. At the Anchor Wizard, I used it a lot on the Old Town. But I don't use it very much with the 360 drive. I mean, it is amazing, especially with the upgraded one. I haven't had one before, so I can't compare it to the other ones, but it is definitely a real good technology that they invented.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of good things about their drive. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Now, what is the 360 drive?
It's where you can turn it. So like most of them, they face just forward. And they're fins on the Hobies. So most of the time they just face forward. And the 180s, they have a little pull thing, I think, that flips it around and makes it, you can go backwards. But the 360, you can turn it in all directions. Plus you have your rudder control. So if you turn it to the left, it will actually take your kayak basically straight left, depending on wind and all that stuff. But you can maneuver in very tight places and it's amazing.
Cool. Sounds pretty neat.
Yeah, Robert Brown says, "What up, Lisa?"
Hi. Who? Oh yeah. Hey, Robert. I can't see. There's like a bar across the names.
Oh.
Because I have it set up on his little rod thing, and there's a little bar that comes out. Yep. Here, let's get it over so you can see the comments.
That's okay.
All right, there we go.
We'll keep reading them for.
Okay.
We won't let you miss too many of them.
Okay.
Yeah, Rob. In the beginning, Rob and I would both put a comment up and take it off at the same time, and
we hit the button at the same time. we got to figure it out now. We got a system down.
Yeah.
Seeing that I'm from the north, I get to read them. Don't have that accent. But,
me and my sister are actually going to Boston the second week of August to go to Fenway Park to watch the Astros beat the Red Sox.
Awesome.
I hope so.
Yep. Hey, I'm with you. I'm a long-time Astros fan, so I'm with you there.
They're starting to get better.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's just weird to see them in the American League. I'm still trying to get used to that.
I know. Yeah.
Back in the 70s, I used to love their uniforms.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, that was my favorite uniform. But, oh, well.
Yep.
Everything changes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Except for the Yankees. They've had the same uniforms for.
Oh, yeah, they have.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
You can't find the old Astros jerseys anymore either. I've looked for them.
I had one as a kid. I don't know what happened to it. I had one, and it had the colors. It was cool. Oh, yeah. I don't know what happened to it. I had that one in like that blue, like that navy blue, but I maybe got lost in the move. I don't know what happened to it. Wish I had it.
One of the little league teams I had on we were the Astros, and we had that old jersey.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
And then we had the Pittsburgh Pirates had like that boxed hat.
Yep.
That we had that pair of hats, so I thought it was pretty neat.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Now, on your rod selection, do you have like certain ones, or you limit yourself to a certain number? How do you usually do your rod selection? What you carry for today?
Well, if you ask my boyfriend, I bring them all. But it just depends on what I'm fishing. I do have certain ones that I bring no matter what, like my wacky rod, which I don't have right now, but he is. I don't know where it's at. He's supposed to be building it. He's waiting for parts for it. So I have other rods I can use for it, but that one in particular is the best wacky rod I've ever used. but he builds all my rods. They're South Brazos custom rods.
Yep.
And they're amazing as far as sensitivity. You know, everybody has their own special rod that they say is the best, but I haven't used one that's anywhere near these. And it's not just because he's my boyfriend.
Well, John Adams says he was on Center Hill Lake fishing about 3 weeks ago in the back of one of the big creeks in his bass boat. And the wake boats tried to wash me up on the bank in it. I can't imagine being a kayak out there.
Yeah, those wake boats and the jet skis are even worse.
When they do the circles,
yeah. I was fishing a tournament one time, and it was like me and two other people. We were sitting on this little drop, and we were throwing out, and this jet ski would keep coming by, like within 10, 15 feet of us. It was ridiculous.
Unreal.
That's
Yeah, I've heard. Yeah, I was about to say, or the 1 ounce Carolina weight. That's what my.
Yeah. Well, you know, they're really big on sportsmanlike conduct and the tournament. So I don't want to have the game warden come up and do anything that would get me disqualified. So.
Yeah, I'll understand.
Yeah.
The one thing that I like. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was going to finish talking about my rods, and I just.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah.
So I have punch. I have probably 15 rods, which is probably not nearly as many as most people have. But I only have 9 rod holders on my crate. So usually I try to limit to that, depending on the lake that I'm. Usually I don't need more than that because I throw like 3 rods. So. Yeah. But I try to do a lot of lake study and watching videos and just kind of seeing what type of vegetation and just what type of fishing I'm going to be doing there, which helps in cutting down some of the rods.
Definitely. For your line, do you like using fluorocarbon, or I know some guys will use all braid? I use
straight braid.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people use that.
I just got tired of line breaking, and because I fish a lot of stuffy areas, and most of the time it's stained water, and I just don't feel that it matters. I'm sure it does because I don't do a lot of crankbaits, just mainly because the places I fish, it's just grass. I like to fish grass, so most treble hook stuff or anything that I'm going to be fishing that needs a lot of action, I just don't fish it. Now this weekend in my tournament, I will be fishing a crankbait. So I'm going back and forth on whether or not I'm going to tie a leader on. If I do, it's usually fluoro, Seaguar. The red label is, I haven't had any issues with that. I'm not good on tying knots as far as to tie the leader on, which gets frustrating. Drop shot, I mean, I do straight braid on that Carolina rig. I actually went back to straight braid on that. So I just try not to change it. And I just recently switched to Seaguar braid, the camo braid, which I've really liked. It doesn't swell. It doesn't fade yet. I don't know. We'll see. But it's really good line. It's thin in diameter. So. Yeah,
I heard a lot of guys like using braid because, you're on the boat, you kind of walk back, set the hook. Kayak, you're kind of stationary, so that braid with no stretch, you get a better hook set. So
yeah,
that's what I heard a lot of guys say.
Well,
and plus, when you set the hook in the grass, it's pretty cool because you set the hook and it's like it cuts through like a laser beam. Just whoop, grass goes everywhere. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I haven't broke a lot of braid. I have some, but not much. So.
Yeah, it's pretty tough stuff. Yeah. It lasts a long time, too. That's another thing. You don't have to change it out every tournament or every month. It don't have the memory. So that is a big plus. Yeah, that is a big plus. The only thing is, if you get a backlash, but I'm sure that's with anything. Yep. Which I don't do much. I have the Shimano SLX reels on most of my stuff and don't have any issues with backlashing on them. They're pretty good reels. Cool.
Nice. So what's your favorite technique?
Wacky right now. So I catch a lot of fish on them and Just it's easy. I love frog fishing. I love topwater. Anything topwater is
Yep.
great. Just for the blow ups mainly. But if I'm fishing slow, it's wacky drop shot.
Hard to beat those two.
Yeah. Which I didn't when I first started fishing. It was Texas rig worm, chatterbait maybe. I just started throwing swim jigs. I don't like jigs, even though my first bass I caught on a jig. Probably the last time that I threw it. But I started catching on them. Had a tournament in Toledo Bend, and they were up in the grass. And all the videos I saw was swim jig, swim jig, swim jig. And so I threw one and I caught some good fish on it. So not tournament day, but I caught some little ones. I did catch fish. I didn't get skunked, but I didn't catch them on the swim jig on tournament day, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, I caught them on frog and drop shot. So, and it took me most of the day to switch over.
Yep.
Yep.
It happens. I mean,
Fishermen are stubborn.
Yeah. Well, I'm like, I'm just not going to free fish anymore.
Yeah, that's me. I can pre-fish, wear them out, and I go game or tournament day, and then they're totally somewhere else doing something totally different, and you're scrambling. So.
Well, that's the thing, and I'm sure it's in a lot of places, but with Texas weather, one day it's nice and calm and sun's out, and next day it's, 20-mile-an-hour winds and cloudy. So, and we look at the forecast, but most of the time it says it's going to be cloudy and the sun's out all day. So it's like, I don't know.
Yeah, I think the weatherman has a dartboard. They just throw a dart and say, okay, it's cloudy, and then they totally miss it by a mile. So I think I come to that conclusion.
Yeah. Last tournament we fished, it said 100% cloud cover all day long, and there wasn't a cloud in the sky.
Oh, man.
See, they gave you the New York weather. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, because I remember one night tournament, me and my old partner, we fished a night tournament, and I haven't finished many nights, and I kid you not, the weather said 1% shot of rain. I didn't bring my rain gear. Of course, there's one cloud we saw in Lexington come down and sit right over us and got soaked. I was like pruned. I was so soaked. And then the motor, the hydraulics on the tilt trim went out. We was loading the boat. I was trying to pick the motor up to get. Oh, it was a mess. It was a disaster. But
yeah.
But it happens. It happens.
Yeah.
Live and learn.
Eddie Carper said practice is overrated. Appreciate you guys helping our lady anglers out. Much respect. Appreciate it, Eddie. And practice can be overrated.
Yeah.
A lot of tournaments I do now, I just drive up the day before the tournament, fish it, and come home.
Yeah.
And I do a lot of map study and research ahead of time too. So that helps.
Yeah. Depending on some of the tournaments that we have are real close. Fork's like an hour away. So like I drove up there for the day to fish it, but I won't pre-fish the day before.
Yeah. So I think sometimes that hurts.
Yeah.
Sometimes, yeah.
Like in New York, it's bad weather 90% of the time, good weather 10%.
Yeah.
With the wind and stuff like that and the natural lakes, it's crazy to see some of these guys go out in kayaks in 3 and 4 and 5 foot waves. I'm like, nah, you guys are good.
Brave. Now, before a tournament, do you kind of, like if you went to a lake you had to go to, you never been, do you kind of do map study and look at results, or how do you usually do your kind of tournament prep? What do you usually do?
Yeah, we do a lot of map study. We buy the topo maps so we can have it out in front of us. Yep. We have the Navionics. I have my Garmin maps, and then we watch videos, just looking at all the information for the lake, what kind of vegetation it has in it, what the prey fish is, all that stuff. So,
okay. What's one lake that you don't ever want to go back to?
I would think it would have to be Toledo Bend. And I know a lot of people really like that lake, but as far as kayak fishing goes, it is so massive.
Yeah.
And just, I haven't had, the first time I fished in a tournament, it was a Hobie tournament. Weather was okay the day before. We wake up that morning and there's ice on the kayaks. And then the wind starts blowing and it starts raining. So it was not fun. The second time we just went back in last month, I think May, which was good, but I fished a whole different part of the lake, different part than what I had planned on it initially, which is a big part of my problem. I'm like, oh, well, I'm just going to go here either because it's easier, or like this time it was because the boat ramp where I wanted to fish didn't open till 6 and launch time was 5:15.
Yeah.
So, and I have a trailer. I'm not walking my heavy Hobie down the bank. So
I'll blame you there.
It's understandable. Now, is there a lake that you haven't been to that you'd like to go to?
Well, OH Ivy.
Oh yeah.
Obviously. I want to go to Chick and Gunnersville. No.
That's not John's favorite. It is mine.
But no, yeah, in Texas, OH Ivy, definitely. I want to go there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Can't blame you. Any thoughts about getting into a boat?
We're trying to get this one fixed. So a couple years ago, I mean, he's just had issues with it. And so I actually took the carbs off, cleaned it because it was starting fine. And then the day that we were going to take it out to the water, you know, of course it doesn't start. Yeah. So I took the carbs off and cleaned them. And then I never put them back on just because we got tournaments going on and it's just weather and just, you know, things happen. And so they're sitting in a box and they haven't been put back on, but.
Sounds to me like that boat's afraid of water.
I think so.
It's allergic. It's allergic.
Yep.
There's something wrong with it, but we'll get it running. He wants to put a new motor on it. So hopefully we can do that because it's a 4-stroke, you know, old one. And it just doesn't want to work.
It's got issues.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't think the live well works. And I mean, not that we keep fish really. And instrument panels don't really work. So there's a bunch of work that needs to be done with it anyway. Just we have other priorities. So
yep.
Understand that.
Yeah, I did that last week. I was supposed to be up at Lake Champlain fishing the Toyota Series event, which they actually crushed the fish up there. And I wasn't happy I missed it, but I stayed home and did some work around the house that needed to get done. But growing grass, catching bass says no 2-stroke, want a 4-stroke.
That's my boyfriend. So he's a golf course superintendent, so he grows grass and.
Oh, I got you. That makes sense.
Sometimes he catches bass.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Is he going to go to Lisa? Is he going to go to the Lisa School of Bass Fishing?
He needs to. No, I'm just kidding. Because I say that. So normally every year, but this year I beat him in tournaments. This year he has beat me in every tournament by like a little bit. Oh. And it's just like, oh my goodness. Yeah. And I don't like it.
Now, the bigger question, does he stock his golf course ponds with bass? That's the next question. Well,
it's right on Cedar Creek Reservoir, so the water goes in and out. There are bass in there, and we do go fishing there quite often. Cool. They have some pretty good bass in there. So the last golf course he worked at did not have any bass. So that sucked because we actually lived on the golf course.
All right. Let's see. Your favorite technique is a wacky rig?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's hard to beat that because you can catch fish anywhere, everywhere, any time of year, it makes no difference. They'll always hit that.
Yeah. And I've gotten to where I only throw the Yamamoto baits with it,
Yep.
just because they sink a little faster and the action is better. And it's just, I don't know. I've tried to throw other ones, and it's like if it's not the right salt content or whatever, and it's windy or cold or whatever, they just won't sink.
And they skip like crazy. Them things
Oh,
skip
yeah.
better than anything. So
Yeah, I do like skipping them under docks and stuff. And
Your boyfriend says punching.
yes, he loves punching.
Yep.
Yeah. So the tournament that I cashed a check on was Bastrop, which is a small little lake. I don't know if y'all know where it is, but it's down by Austin.
Yep.
And it was a frog only tournament, and it was just awesome. And I beat him, so that was great. I got second place and big bass.
And he got to listen to it the ride home.
Yeah.
and you won bragging rights, so that's even.
Oh yeah,
plus.
I think he got 5th place.
That's not bad.
Yeah, it wasn't bad, but he didn't cash a check or get a trophy. But he does have, between us, he has the personal best 8.5 pound bass, which I got mounted for him. So
Sweet.
I'm looking for a bigger one so I can beat him on that.
There you go.
Yeah, frog fishing is addicting. That's why I got my personal best on at a pond just up the road on the Army base. I got a 811, and she hit it 3 times.
Oh, wow.
And she's still swimming in there. I let her go. Yeah. She's still swimming.
Yeah, New York they just had their state record.
Yep.
For largemouth.
I saw that.
That was huge. That was a tank.
Yeah.
Yeah. If they keep it up, the smallmouth are going to be taking over that lake. And that's only 10 minutes away from my house, and they're catching 9-pound smallmouth.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I mean, 1 or 2 a year, but 8 plus.
Still.
Like, wow.
That's an old fish right there.
Yeah. Are they fat or are they long or both?
Fat.
Yeah.
Football, like a football, yeah.
I would say more like a soccer ball.
Yeah.
I haven't caught a smallmouth, so that's one thing on my bucket list.
Hey, if you and your husband decide to venture up to New York, we have a spare bedroom, or your boyfriend, I should say.
Yeah, and whatever. It's been long enough.
Yeah, we have a spare bedroom that has a shower, a mini fridge, and microwave. There's 2 beds in there.
Well, he won't get on a plane, so.
Or Del Hollow. Del Hollow's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
That's my favorite.
Hey, Devon, how you doing, buddy?
We got a couple lakes down here that have smallmouth in them, but in this Texas heat, they
like the cool weather, or cool weather water. Yeah, definitely.
So, the hardest question of the night is, what is your favorite homemade cookie?
Well, I'm not big on sweets, so I like more of a savory. So peanut butter is definitely one of my favorites.
Can't beat that.
You guys send me some?
Send us your address.
Okay.
Fisher says Erie.
Oh, yeah, could be.
Yeah. They have a cabin in Erie, or a camp. Trisha does. So now this is the time we let you talk about yourself and your sponsors and your bragging rights and all that stuff, and people who helped you. So the floor is all yours for the next however long you want.
Okay. So I don't have a lot of sponsors. I used to, but I'm not crazy on social media. So I just forget to go post and tag and whatever. So South Brazos Custom Rods, it's the rods that my boyfriend makes. So he's pretty much the only one. And I mean, he contributes a lot because, when a rod falls in the water, which it hasn't in a really long time, this is the first one in a while, and I'm usually pretty careful. The last rod that fell in the water, it was his fault because he ended up hooking it with one of his rods. He was too close to me and knocked it in the water. So
Ooh.
that's his fault. But I have 3 dogs that are amazing. And they don't get to come with us because they're all over 80 pounds. And unfortunately, they don't know how to stay out of the water. So I took my, she's a lab Great Dane mix to the golf course, and I need to upload the video to it because it's an awesome video. But every time I would cast my lure, she would jump in after it. And I'm just like it's not a toy.
Yeah. We're not playing fetch here. No.
Yeah. No
fetch.
Try some retrieving ducks or something.
Yeah, I know. And then the squirrels. Oh my gosh, she is just going crazy over the squirrels, and there were a bunch of them that day. But other than that, I mean, I don't do a whole lot other than try to get out and fish and play with the dogs and mess with my kayak and all that.
Nice.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
No, it sounds like a full life.
Yeah, definitely is. I had such so I fished 1, 2, 3, 4 trails this year.
Wow.
And it was just way too much. So we're coming to the end of it, but I mean, we still got, I think, 4 more tournaments this year, and it's just way too much. So next year we're going to pick, well, we did the Texas Bass Nation because that was new this year.
Yep.
So that was a lot of fun. I actually did well in most of those.
Cool.
So we're probably going to do that along with East Texas because we lived in Central Texas. We just moved up here by Dallas year and a half ago. It's like an hour south of Dallas. So we're getting used to these lakes. North Texas, all the lakes that I fished on their trail, I just bombed. And just because I'm not used to fishing, it's a little bit clearer water. So maybe I need to go with a leader. But
I don't think so.
Yeah, the East Texas, Caddo, I went this year for the first time and had a blast. I love Caddo. And definitely it is on our list. The big reason is because my boyfriend only has so much vacation time and we want to be able to go do fun fishing. So we plan on doing a couple trips to Caddo just to go out for the week or whatever, to just go and explore and catch a bunch of big bass.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
I don't blame you there. See, if you moved to New York, you wouldn't have to worry about it. He'd be off all winter.
Oh, yeah, I know. Do you ice fish?
No.
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 I don't have any interest in being out in that cold of water on ice.
No. See, the lakes around me don't really freeze.
Oh, okay.
So you can take your kayak out in January if you want.
Yeah, probably not up there.
No, I don't blame you at all. But anything else you have for Rob?
Yeah, you talking about your old town. What was your old kayak? You said you liked so well the old town.
So I've had 2 different old towns. My first old town was a paddle. It was a 10.5 foot, which was awesome. And then my last one was the 120 pedal, and it was just great. The only thing that I did not like about it was a bicycle and a prop for the drive. So if you're fishing grass, which I like to do, then it's difficult. You got to keep bringing it up and cleaning it out. Also, the one good thing about it is that the drive has a console that actually sits. My boyfriend has a native, and it doesn't sit the same, and mine's a lot better. It actually floats. So if you were to flip over and you wouldn't lose your drive, that's what they say. I haven't tested it out.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you one bit.
Yeah, it was just really good. The hatch wasn't big enough in the front. You had to make sure you got the right battery that would go in there. So, but other than that, I had no problems with it.
Oh, cool. Can't beat that.
Jeremy May says, hello, Old Town folks.
And so one big thing, if you're going to get into kayak fishing and you plan on fishing when it's dark, have a 360 light. If you have a motor, you got to have your nav lights. Have a whistle or something because them boats, especially if it gets foggy out there. I was on a tournament one time and I launched and the sun was just coming up. It was nice and clear, but it was a power plant reservoir.
Yep.
And it was kind of winterish. So once that sun started coming up, the fog rolled in and I was already all the way on the other side of the lake. And these boats, they don't slow down. So, it's crazy.
Yeah. Well, that's one thing I like about the kayaks. You can kind of pick and choose where you want to launch at. Some of the big bass tournaments I've been in, that's one thing I like. You can launch wherever you want to at, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, because a lot of boat tournaments, y'all launch from the same ramp, huh?
Yeah.
Everyone,
I don't like that.
Except for the big bass. Some of the big bass bashes are Sealy. You can kind of pick and choose. But besides that, everybody's going through the same rough wakes and all that. So, yeah, that's not so fun.
All right, Lisa. Well, thank you very much for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
I've definitely learned a lot as far as kayaks and what not to do, I should say.
Yeah.
And I think my best bet is Velcro my shoes.
And shoes that float.
Yeah. Well, I highly recommend going out and testing the limits of your kayak, which I have not done since I got this Hobie. So I need to go do that now that it's warm.
There you go. Now you're talking.
All right, Lisa. Well, hey, like I said, thank you for being on and appreciate it. You take care and good luck in your next tournament and your future endeavors.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right. Take care.
All right.
All right, boys. She brought it. Had a lot of knowledge. I mean, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I learned a lot. I mean,
yep.
Jeremy May says he has a love-hate relationship with a kayak. Too close to the water for me, especially if I lived in Florida with the gators.
Come on, Jeremy. You know how gators are. You just tap them on the nose. They'll go away. They won't bother. You just tap on the nose, man. You'll be all right.
It has to be better than going in the 6-foot rollers on Oneida.
True. I agree with that.
But no, a couple things I want to cover. We've got some new things happening here with Co-Angler Corner. We're doing through our online network, the American Angler Outdoor Network, we're going to be doing it's called the Deep Dive. And what that is we're going to be doing some podcasts that aren't available to the public. A lot of them will be instructional. And then I think we have 3 or 4 of them lined up about sponsorship, pre-tournament work, and electronics. I know that 3 right off the top of my head that we have lined up for you guys. Just have to go over to the American Angler Outdoor Network live and click on our channel, the subscribe channel. It's $4.95 a month. That'll help us out as well. But that's one thing that's going to we're rolling out here pretty soon.
Yeah, lot more in depth, a lot more detail. So yeah, we're got a lot of information going to be rolled out, guys. So stay tuned.
Yep. And for those of you who didn't notice, I have my new tournament shirt on. Thank you, Trisha and Angie with Fish Her. My wife loves them. I love it. My daughter loves them. Just want to say thank you to you guys for doing such a great job in a timely manner too.
Outstanding.
Yep. I don't know if you had a chance to see that. I think I sent you that video today, didn't I?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Yep.
Yep.
That was my first video ever on the water, by the way.
That come out good, man. Come out good.
Yeah. Kind of not too bad of a day we had. So there's only 3 of them, Jeremy. Dang it.
There's only so much you can do, man. Come on. Give a man a break, man. Come on now.
Come on up here in a kayak, Jeremy. We'll go out on Oneida.
There you go.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Tricia. I appreciate you. Everybody have a good night. Be safe, and hope to see you tomorrow.
All right. Thanks, guys. Thanks for tuning in and subscribing and liking. But hey, thanks, Jeremy. And I see y'all tomorrow night, and hope you're tuning in. So peace out.